You're listening to the Believe in Giants podcast with two-time Super Bowl winner Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
We turn around another edition of Believe in Giants presented by FanDuel. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks for another edition of Believe in Giants. Banksy, I don't know what I'm doing here right now, but I got my hair cut, whatever, and I got the white pullover. I'm going for the Steve Sarkisian look.
Yeah.
Head coach of the University of Texas.
Yes.
So here we are, Giants-Eagles week. Feel a positive energy right now here in the building as we record this on a Wednesday morning. Opportunity to kind of flush what happened last week against the New Orleans Saints, where the Giants were their own worst enemy. They were complicit in losing the football game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you get to flush it. This is the closest you get to being a baseball player, a hockey player, or an NBA player, where in the NFL, you normally have to wait a whole week. They have an opportunity to correct a lot of wrongs on Thursday night against a 4-1 Philadelphia team.
Sure. Here's what the Giants will have to do in this game against Philadelphia. They're a familiar foe. Obviously, they will have to stop the run. It's Saquon Barkley. There's no way with the way their team is going right now, meaning Philadelphia, that they're going to ignore Saquon Barkley and give him the ball one time. They could be lighting the scoreboard up, but their balance as a football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, comes through Saquon Barkley. You've got a very talented quarterback who has a winning mentality. He's both a runner and a passer, or a passer and a runner, whatever he needs to be in their system. They're a physical team, but they have some problems up front. The Giants will have to continue to assert themselves with their front line. They're not, this is my opinion, I don't think they're disadvantaged any longer up front. The Philadelphia Eagles will have to account for more than Dexter Lawrence now. They're going to need solid play on the back end of their defense, and they're going to need play that's attention. It is detail-oriented. This is going to have to be a fourth quarter game no matter what. You saw in the Denver game what mental stamina and mental endurance will do. Philly was up, and Denver just stayed with it, didn't bow down. They were in, again, there's a difference between mental toughness and mental stamina. They endured mentally. They did not make key mistakes. They stayed focused, got themselves back in the game, and won the game. That's what the Giants will have to be mentally against the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't check out. Might be a few bad things that happen, but you cannot compound those, right? Last week, New Orleans, going into the fourth quarter, I commented, I don't think the Giants have had a procedural call. And then they proceed to have 3 in a row.
They're like, wait a second, Carl, hold on, Carl.
Hold on. Let me fix that for you. We got you, bro. Let me fix this 3 times in a row. When you need to come back, right? And this is a team that are not going to make a lot of mistakes, Philadelphia. You're going to have to force some mistakes. They've got young players playing on their defensive side of the ball. They're growing. They're like every team. And, when we sit in the Giants ecosystem, we only focus on the young players and the frustrations and what guys should be at this stage of their career. Everybody's dealing with it. It's just a matter of, can you get your guys, your young players, to not repeat mistakes? That's what Philadelphia is doing too. Adoree Jackson basically was their starter until they felt comfortable enough to put the young kid in there. And now they're living with whatever he's giving them because they think he gives them a better chance in the long run. So offensive line, they've got some injuries. What did that mean against New Orleans? Not a whole bunch, because the Giants were never afforded that opportunity to really exploit that. I think the Giants were dominant up front, the things that don't hit the stat sheet, but they're going to have to be buttoned up. Sound gap responsibility is going to be the key. We know what Bobby Okereke is at this stage. Darius Muasau, play free. He's a super high IQ football player, and we'll kind of circle back because there's some really good conversation that I've been engaged in about this Giant defense and some of their players that I want to get to. But Darius Muasau, play free. Play football. The one thing about Muasau, when he walked in the door, you look at him and you're like, he's not the fastest guy. He's a little slow of foot, but he always ends up being where he's supposed to be. And I think that's the Muasau that has to be back. You're smarter because you're second year in the system, but you're still a guy who's, I don't even think he's played 16 games completely. So he's basically a rookie, but play free. Understand your assignment, but don't let that get in the way of making a football play. The reason he was pointed out on the 87-yarder, is 87 yards play is because he could have helped your safety, Nubin. That's the only reason it was pointed out, not to kill the kid, because I actually like him and I think he's doing and will continue to do a good job in McFadden's absence. But as a defensive player, everybody has to be on the same page. Tyler Nubin, get your butt where you're supposed to be also. Help yourself, help the defense. And, that play doesn't happen and your team defense looks a lot different on the stat sheet and in terms of domination. So, Philadelphia, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you can't be a get-right game, okay? Philadelphia is 29th in the league in yards per carry. They're 25th in the league in rushing yards. And Saquon Barkley's averaging 72 yards a game less than he averaged last year. They have 2 runs of over 20 yards this year. Jalen Hurts has a 29-yarder and Will Shipley has a 20-yarder. You can't allow Philadelphia to run the ball in this game, like at a high level with Saquon breaking runs and stuff like that, because the receivers, despite the discord that's existing evidently with A.J. Brown, guess what? This is the game where they all have the kumbaya and they're hugging and high-fiving because they're making big plays if you allow them to run the ball, something they have not done well this year. Don't be the get-right game.
Right. And when they're running the football, all feels good on the outside of the defense. I remember the short yardage play where, A.J. Brown goes for a touchdown on the Giants sideline.
Yeah, it was a 4th down play, 41-yarder.
Yeah. Everybody's got to stay focused, stay locked in for the duration of the game. Yeah, don't be the get-right game. Have confidence in what you can do. Have confidence in what you can do well. They're not a team, the Giants, that when Philadelphia cut on the tape Monday, when they walked in, because they're on a short week too, after a long flight, the Giants are not a team they look at and say, this is a bad football team. They got a bad record, but they got some damn good players. And they're better personnel-wise than we've seen them in a long time. That's what's happening in that meeting room. They're telling their guys, their players are better than they've been there in a long time. And you got 5 guys up front that have to be accounted for. 4 on a consistent basis, 5 when they want to do a little something. So Philly's got to be focused too, because they're looking at a Giant record, and then they're looking at Giant personnel, and then they're looking at how the Giants are losing football games. If they can get you into deep waters and cause you to make the mistakes that you continue to make to cost yourself games, they'll do that. But if you do the little things right, you're not going to be the get-right game. You should feel great about walking into that game saying, we got enough to win the game. We just have to do it. We have to do the things that will allow us to win. Hey, they're still dealing with a championship breed in Philly. You know, they ain't laying down for anybody. You're going to have to beat them, but they're beatable.
They are beatable. But the Giants have proven over a long period of time now that they could be their own worst enemy. Like, they got to play a great game. I know it's in prime time. I know the Giants haven't won a Thursday night game since 2015 when they beat Washington. I know they're 0-for-3 on Thursday night football against Philly. Let's face it. The Giants, I got my notes here. The last time that the Giants beat the Eagles was the regular season finale of 23. It was a game that didn't matter.
Correct.
I can't remember the last time the Giants beat the Eagles really in a game that mattered. They beat them down in Philly in 13, but I can't even remember who was the quarterback for Philadelphia. I think Vic started, and then Matt Barkley came in or whatever. Like, they haven't beaten the Eagles when it mattered probably since 2011. Like,
sure,
if you're a fan watching this, like, enough is enough. Like, the Eagles have some warts. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. But, like, play a really good game. Play a good game and win this thing. Don't be like, oh, man, it took until, like, the third quarter until they got across midfield. Like, no, play like your hair is on fire in this game, because you know where the fans' patient level is right now, Carl? It's up to you.
It's worn. It's done. I mean, there's no soothing a fan base that have seen it all. They've been through it, and they've had enough. So just go out. Don't expect, and this is not a shot at fans, but don't expect the fans to be rooting for you when you take the field. You're going to have to give them a reason. They're going to show up. Whoever shows up is going to show up, and they're not showing up to watch you fail. They want to see how you're going to fight, how you're going to execute, and how you're going to give yourself a chance to win. And when they walk out of there and you're doing the same old crap again, just get in your car and don't cut your radio on. Don't look at anything, because it's going to be exactly like it was this week. Just people fed up. So you don't have a fan base. You have a group of people who really want to see something different. Yes, they are fans, but your fan base has had it. They've had it with everybody top to bottom. And so all you got is you. If you're in that locker room, all y'all got is yourselves. Now go out and earn your victory. Go out and earn the respect, and the fandom and enthusiasm of a fan base that all they want is to feel great, cheer for a winning team, and cheer for winning players. Instead, you've got a whole week of everybody telling you how shitty you are, how Giants don't have this, the Giants don't have that, the Giants are not doing this, the Giants are not doing that. Why you can't argue it? Because you're doing exactly what they said you're doing.
Right. Well,
right?
do what you did against the Chargers. You want to feel that love. You want to feel that
Yeah,
support. You
yeah.
played well against the Chargers. You went wire to wire in the win, and they're going to be behind you. They're going to cheer you like crazy when they come running out of the
The
tunnel with that
stadium
smoke.
was electric against the
Right.
Chargers. I hadn't heard that crowd cheer like that, especially for the defense in a super long time. So let's talk a little bit of, because this kind of goes into.
Well, can I give you one more thing that's
Yeah, go
important in
ahead.
this game?
Mm-hmm.
The Giants have been pretty good at special teams this year. Gillen was great on his kickoffs. They've done a nice job returning the ball. I mean, every team in the league seems to commit a holding penalty on returns. However, mind your P's and Q's this week, because remember, Philadelphia beat the Rams by blocking a field goal. 2 block kicks, and they blocked the game winner. They wound up returning for a touchdown. And remember how they got on the board first against Tampa. Block punt. Sidney Brown scooped it up, returned it for a touchdown. So their offensive numbers are horrible. They're 25th in running. They're 31st in passing. But you know what they are? In the red zone, 13 trips, 12 touchdowns. Goal to goal, 11 goal-to-goal situations, 11 touchdowns. They are opportunistic. They make plays on special teams. You must win all 3 facets in order to win this game on Thursday night. Any crack anywhere, and you're toast.
And the captain in me, and I can hear the words from my teammate Pepper Johnson before we leave the tunnel. Don't be the reason we lose. He would look back and get our guys up, and he's especially special teams guy, because he was an excellent special teams guy too. Don't be the reason we lose. He would say to everybody, and then you go take the field. And that's the last words you will hear from him, and you're going to be on high alert as a special teams player to make sure you're not getting a kick blocked that you need. That's the attitude that they have to have across the board. Don't be the reason we lose. Don't let a bad play become a bad day. That's the mentality.
You were heading in a direction here, but before you head in that direction, Carl, I want to let people know that you want to protect your personal data. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are coming very common, and it makes everybody vulnerable. Data brokers, they make a fortune off of your data. Your data is a commodity. People can buy your private details. This could lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment. Now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. Listen, they could get your name, your contact information, your social security number, your home address, information about family members, and then it's all compiled and it's sold online. The New York Times Wirecutter has named Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. So, look, you have an active online presence. I have an active online presence. You don't want to fall victim to all of this data harvesting and identity theft, doxing, all this stuff. Delete Me is your answer right now. It's the best way for you to protect your personal data. Take control and keep your private life private. Sign up to Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. You're going to get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go in and join deleteme.com/pro, then enter the promo code PRO at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/pro, promo code PRO, P-R-O. Carl, the Giants would like to delete these Thursday night losses.
I was going to say,
finally getting a win column.
And delete the negativity around their team. And the only way they can do that is they have to play better. But so there's some really good conversation happening around where people think this Giant defense is and what they believe the Giants defense should be doing. And I'm going to go in particular to my favorite duo, Nick Flato and Dan Schneier. We've had a really good conversation because they had a great breakdown and very thorough of where and how they thought Shane Bowen is not taking advantage of the strength of the Giants defense, which is their defensive front. And they made some very valid points. And then there were those that said the Giants were playing off too much and giving up too much. And a 1-10 quarterback or Spencer Rattler, whatever is where 0-10, 1-10, whatever it is, chewed them up. So I just want to take folks through how it works defensively. And I can tell you from a player perspective and someone that's been in the front office who sat in game planning meetings and team and coaches meetings. So the first thing you find out early in the year is what type of team you're going to be. Are you going to be a man team? Are you going to be a man zone team, meaning you can play some off man, some zone, but you're going to have to pick your spots when you want to go press man, even though you have personnel for it, right? Then you say, where's the strength of our team? Oh, it's our defensive front. Okay, so then they say, well, we're going to have to lean on them to do a lot more to help compensate for some of the things we don't have on the back end of our defense because we've got young players. You got a young defensive backfield, Howland and Adebo, and then the rest of the kids around them are second-year players. So then you tailor your game plan from week to week, right? So against the Chargers, they pass block differently. They are a deeper set, drive the ball down the field. You're going to have some opportunities for games, for stunts, and for some blitzes. But the next team saw that. They were going to legislate against that. They were going to try to make sure that the quarterback did not have the ball in his hands. So,
right. So, like, Carl, just to follow you up on that, like, some people follow Next Gen. Some people follow Pro Football Focus.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a million different analytics out there.
Mm-hmm.
But Spencer Rattler had one of the quickest get the ball out of his hand times in the league last weekend, according to,
Sure.
I can't remember if it was Next Gen or whatever.
Correct.
So they made sure that he wasn't a sitting duck. And their O-line is better than the injured Chargers offensive line was.
Okay, and so all of that. Well, here's where two things can be true. Spencer Rattler got the ball out when he wanted to. He did exactly what the Giants wanted him to do. You say, why? How do you say that, Carl? Because the Giants legislated against the things that they needed to do to win the football game. Let me give you an example. I'm going to read some stats for you guys because you guys saying they didn't blitz, they played from off, they did all these different things. Okay, and because people don't like when I say if you take away a particular play. So we'll leave the Rashid Shaheed 80-something yard touchdown. The numbers. Brandon Cooks, their deep threat, 1 catch, 5 yards. Johnson, the giant killer, the tight end number 83, 2 catches for 17 yards. Alvin Kamara, who is their playmaker, he's the move the chains guy. 4 catches, 28 yards. Chris Olave, who is their main guy, he had 7 catches, but he only had 59 yards. So, and then you had Rashid Shaheed, 114 minus the 80-something yards, whatever that number is, it is. But you don't discount it, right? So you have a preventable 80-something yard touchdown. But when you look at these numbers, did they really get what they wanted against the Giants? No, they got what the Giants gave up. And I can tell you why. Because then let's look at the rushing numbers.
Yeah, they averaged 2.9 a carry for the game.
10 carries, 41 yards for Miller. Kamara, 8 carries for 27 yards. Spencer Rattler, 6 for 21. Taysom Hill, 6 carries, minus 1 yard. Folks, if you close your eyes and didn't see the game, you'd be like, well, what happened in this game? The Giants, these numbers are pretty damn good defensive numbers. And if you're looking at the game, you're not telling me New Orleans got what they wanted. New Orleans wanted touchdowns. They wanted to move the ball. They wanted to drive the ball deep. So, Dan, Nick, 2 things can be true. They didn't do what you wanted. You wanted to see the quarterback on the ground. They did what they felt they needed to do to win the game. They played off coverage. Here's why they played off coverage. And you'll probably see it again against Philadelphia. You're going to concede plays in front of you. They played a coverage that kept runs and passes in front of you. And from the looks of it, every pass was in front of them, and they were not for big plays other than one. Runs, they averaged 2 yards a carry. That means they got all eyes at the line of scrimmage. They can play off, they can see everything. So yes, they were going to give things up in front of them. That was the objective. That was the strategy. And it was a damn good strategy by Shane Bowen. We can say they should blitz more, they should stunt more, they need to do more with their defensive front, but to what expense?
Well,
it's the question you ask. It is a team defense. You can claim you can be upset with the type of personnel they have, but they have what they have. And what Shane Bowen did for a game plan last week was a freaking winning game plan. Like, and you can have a problem with it. I had a problem with him coming out of last year because I said, we don't know what their identity is. I think I got a pretty good idea each week of what they want to achieve and what their identity is. Their identity is up front. We know that. But they have the ability to play sound football, to play on their terms. And I don't think if you asked the Saints, did they play the game on their terms? They're going to be like, no, we got one effing play on offense. We hit one big play on them, and then we waited for them to self-destruct. So there's a thing which you would like to see based on personnel. And that's you can be right in that aspect because you see the talent there, but there's a strategy. There's a thing called game plan where I know Dan and Nick said it's the defense didn't lose the game, but they like to see something different. We would all like to see something different. But the objective is to win the day, go next week, and do more. That's how the game works. And then they were like, well, Spencer Rattler said that the Giants don't disguise and, he ate them alive. Where? Yes, they didn't disguise. But here's another thing for our fan base out there. It's a great talking point, right? I don't think Rattler said it in a way that he's jabbing the Giants. He's just giving you the facts. Well, here's what everyone knows, and a lot of you guys who use this PFFs and you use the analytics. Well, here's what teams get every week. They get data on every player, every tendency, every formation, every set. So ain't no secrets anyway. Talk to any quarterback and you ask them about disguises. What do they see? They're going to read 2 or 3 players and know what the play is anyway. or they're going to know what the coverage is.
All right, but listen,
and that's it's not causing hesitation. A good quarterback, they look at it. Okay, that's Drew Phillips. He's up here at the line of scrimmage. He's a possible blitz guy. Let me move my guy out a little bit. All right, run the play. He can't get to us from here. You ain't this guy. They're best players. And I'm sorry for talking over you, Bob, but they're best players. How the hell are you going to disguise them? It's Dexter Lawrence. You can't fucking hide him. It's Brian Burns. You can't hide him. It's Kayvon Thibodeau. You can't hide him. It's Abdul Carter. You ain't disguising that. You got to block them. That's why you don't have to disguise, right? I get it. When you're blitzing, that's when you want to disguise. But you know what you do when you blitz? You make an already iffy secondary vulnerable to big plays.
Well, look. 3 of their 4 losses have been on the offense, including on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You're right. You can't, I don't know if you will call, you can't take the 87-yarder out. Of course you can't. But this is the NFL, and teams will hit you on a big play. One big play is not supposed to lose you the game. But when your best receiver, when your best receiver drops a deep ball when the other team's ready to quit, when your best receiver drops a flea flicker, doesn't go get it and make a 50-50 catch, when he fumbles the ball in plus territory, when your quarterback fumbles the ball in the first drive of the third quarter, and on the first play of the fourth quarter, when you're only down 5 points and you fumble the ball at the 10-yard line, now all this other stuff's going to get exasperated. But you're right. The longest completion was 19 yards. The longest run was 11. And yes, they got burned. And look, I will say this now in defense of the disguise or the being maybe predictable. Spencer Rattler also said after the game, or maybe it was Shaheed said after the game, I think it was Rattler who said, yeah, when we motioned the tight end, we knew we were going to have a chance to make a play on that because we've seen other teams beat them on that. So that's something that the Giants have to look at. Now, I will say this about disguising, though, Carl. Let's go to the Monday Night Football game. Chiefs have the ball at the 1-yard line, and Patrick Mahomes gets the look he thinks he's got. He's got the hook route, and he's going to it. Mm-hmm. The Jaguars were in a certain look, but they knew that if the center – they had something – if the center looked to his left, the inside backer popped out. If he would have looked to his right, the other inside backer pops out because they know Mahomes wants to throw that play. They faked him out. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes even said after the game, he goes, I had the look. I thought that was a layup touchdown, and they disguised it, and they fooled me, and tip your cap to them because they did a great job of making something look like it was, and it turned out not to be.
Well, here's why. That's called data. Yes, in layman's terms, that was a disguise. But in football terms, hey, middle linebackers, don't tip your hand. Just watch the center. If he looks right, you go. If he looks left, you go. That's great game planning. Yes, it's a disguise because Patrick was looking at a defense that just didn't move. And he's like, okay, good, they're static. But his center is the one who tipped them to the play. And that is where I talk about teams having access to the data, right? They weren't let me just say this. If you're talking about disguise, meaning, those people that don't like the vanilla look of the Giants, it's not like chess moves and you're not moving guys around at the line of scrimmage to move a guy back out, right? The NFL disguise is exactly what you just talked about. They didn't move a lot of guys around. Their disguise is that they didn't. Their guys stayed exactly where they were, and they were tipped off by the data that they get that if the center does this, he's going here. If the center does that, he's going there. So, yeah, just play what you play give him the same look, and go off of the guy that tips them. So there are wrinkles that you can have, and Patrick will call it a disguise, and that's great. And look, I'm all about giving somebody the things that they don't get, but it has to come within the construct of your scheme. So when people say they don't disguise, it's only so much you can do. Only so much you can do. If the linebacker who went out and made the play, if he'd have moved early, Patrick would have changed to something else. It would have been like they tipped their hand, right? So I get that you guys don't like Shane Bowen, but give the credit where it's due, give the criticism where it's fair. And then there are things called players who have to execute a scheme. Now, you don't like the scheme because you think it's off, you think it's soft, you don't think they do X amount of things. To the fans out there who don't like it, who think they could be more of something else, I want you to go back post-Washington game and count the amount of interception opportunities that the Giants dropped. Legitimate interception opportunities, including the one in New Orleans where Deonte Banks negates probably a pick six. The defensive line is who caused that, by the way. The one that you guys think couldn't get there. They caused that. It's a 60-minute game. But if you took everything else away and you say, I don't like the scheme, this scheme is not aggressive enough, count the amount of interceptions. I think it's about 8 right now. And of those 8, they have 2. Legitimate, not contested, legitimate in the hands type interceptions. 8. They would lead the league right now. If they held onto the football, they would lead the league in interceptions. Balls on the ground, they had 2 in
Kansas City game. That's inexcusable.
There's 2.
That's it, but that's inexcusable.
Right. The scheme caused that to happen. So you don't like the scheme the way you see it, and it's fair. But, and I'm not saying this to belittle anyone, but the idea of what you think football should be, or what you can do in Madden and make it look so much, game planning and realistic, it's not how it works, because you've got to coordinate 13, 14 players on defense. And you've got to consider everybody's weakness and everybody's strength, and you got to put together something that everybody can play. I'll say it again. You have to put together a scheme, a plan that everybody can play. Every team has to do it. They all have weak players, weak links. They litigate and legislate against those. They make sure that they don't get those kids exposed, and you lean into your strengths. So whatever you think of Shane Bowen, the one thing you can't say coming out of the Saints game is that Spencer Rattler got everything he wanted. He got none of what he wanted. He got one play. And that one play when he said, hey, we knew that if we motioned the tight end, we had the safety on top of, the wide receiver on top of safety. And I would say, if you didn't do your self-scouting and you didn't tell Darius Moorsau to go out and jam the guy because you got a free hit on him, shame on you. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that's what should have happened. So that play doesn't have, they think they got it. Now, you want to talk about disguise, you run out there and you smash Shaheed and they got no play. Then they come in after the game and say, boy, we didn't even see that one coming. There's your disguise. Just doing your job is a disguise because they think they got it and you make one adjustment and there you have it. So, folks, 2 things can be true. You cannot like how they're using them, and the defensive front, and you think they should be getting sacks instead of pressures. And I'm going to say, yeah, you're probably right. But they're effective at what they were doing for that game. And you live to fight another one if you come out on top. If you don't, you make the adjustments. But that was a hell of a game plan, in my opinion. I know you guys like the fireworks, but New Orleans got none of what they wanted, which included touchdowns. So
no, I mean, you could have scored on them all day, but put it this way, this game plan looks a lot better if the Giants don't turn it over 5 straight times.
Correct. And guess what happens? But they all happened. All of those things happened. So we deal with the reality of it. But then if you want to say all hope is lost, and I can say all hope is not lost because they're not going to turn the ball over 5 straight times. Oh, and how does your pass rush look when New Orleans is down 3 scores? How does it look then?
Right.
I bet you.
That game felt pretty. I mean, that's a Darius Slayton drop. Not that he's scoring, but with the momentum the Giants have offensively,
sure,
we're pretty close to looking at 21-6. And then tell me how the game is played out.
And then you'll start to see a pass rush, right? Because now they got to move. They got to drive the ball to get back on the score.
I have a question for you. According to Next Gen stats, these are from the league weekly notes. The Giants actually have the highest rate of man coverage in the NFL at 47%.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's Next Gen stats. PFF has another number. Somebody else has another number. I don't know. But here's what I want to ask you just in wrapping up. Vic Fangio, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. Philadelphia can get after you. I don't know if Nakobe Dean, I know he was full practice. I don't know if he's going to be back for this games. But here's my question for you. Last week, the biggest weapon in the Giants passing game was Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming Vic Fangio is going to make sure that the Giants don't get a running game going and not allow the tight ends to get wide open everywhere. Who's stepping up in this game? Because this is where this is kind of like the line of demarcation here. Somebody had better step up and make some contested catches and make some plays down the field, or else the Giants are going to have an impossible time of winning this game.
So 21 personnel that can move all over the field. So you have tight ends that can play wide receiver. You got them in line that can run block, and they can also play action pass, run routes. So here's another thing, folks. Just go back and look at Philadelphia. They will give up the short pass because they want you to drive the ball for a long time and count on you making mistakes. So they're not going to break.
They have given up 6 passes this year of over 30 yards, and they've given up 4 passes of over 40. So they have been threatened.
Correct. And so you got to get them to break character. Vic says, just like what Shane Bowen is saying, I'm going to lean on my front. I'm going to lean on Zach Bond. He's an active guy. He can get in spaces. He's a great cover guy. But if they start gouging us, I'm going to have to commit another guy, and then I'm going to be vulnerable for a few big plays down the field. Your big plays also come with your quarterback playing off schedule. And that is the part where the rookie has to now take the next step in his maturity, because there were guys open last week when he was scrambling around. He missed a dig route. He missed a couple, right?
Oh, there was a lot of guys open last week, even when he wasn't scrambling. Sometimes he scrambled when he didn't have to scramble. And
right. And listen.
But that's a rookie.
Right. And you grow with that, right? But growth as a rookie means you get better from week to week. You start to see it better. And once they start to point it out and why this came open, because your first read defensively did this, and that's what did that. Complementary routes, which we don't see a lot of in football, or combination routes, I should say, is something that Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka, or I should say Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll, they do a lot of. But your quarterback has to also understand, if defensive player X does this, then this is going to be available to you. Or if defensive player Y does this, these two things are going to be available to you. Right now, I don't know if he's reading X, and if it's not there, he's pulling it. He's gone through some progressions, but he's missed a few, right? Maybe because he didn't trust that it was actually going to be the way it was supposed to be. But part of growth as a rookie quarterback is to take the next step every single week. Darius Alexander, perfect example. From where we saw him in training camp, and a lot of people thought he was a waste of time. He's not going to look at him in the preseason. He can't get penetration. He's slow off the ball. He's gotten better each and every week, which gives them even more flexibility up front. So rookies have to continue to get better. Second-year players have to continue to get better. I don't throw the towel in on Tyler Nubin. I see people that will show, it was a highlight clip that was of Abdul Carter, and someone says, see, your boy Nubin just missed a tackle. And as the same clip went on, he made the next 4. Right? So we can't throw them away because they make a bad play.
No, you can micromanage. Listen, one thing I've learned, I could flip on every NFL game and watch the coach's tape. There's name brand players that you could find a bad play on everybody. There's not a single player in the league you can't find a bad play. Just in wrapping up here, Carl, for me, you better make the bunnies, meaning if Dart is going to throw it in the flat on first down and they want to just try to get 5 yards as a run, make a good throw. If he throws it to you, catch it. On a second and 7, if he throws a 4-yard pass to one of his receivers or tight ends to get positive yards, catch it. You got to be perfect in this game.
Yeah.
Because you haven't beaten this team when it matters for forever.
And you're going to have to beat them. They're not going to quit. They got championship medal, and they're looking at you as the get right. We can cure all ills against the Giants. We'll worry about it next week, but I want A.J. Brown smiling after this game. I want Saquon Barkley floating on a cloud after this game. Doesn't have to be that way because you have better talent. And in their meeting rooms, they're saying that. They're not saying this is a front-running team. They're saying this is a team that's got talent, and you don't want them to get things going because it could be a long day for us.
All right, Carl, how do we like to end this?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Believe in Giants, presented by FanDuel.